to take shape, meanwhile, among the top priorities, selecting a defense secretary and a secretary of state. Former CIA director and General David Petraeus says he is open to serving a Trump administration. We want to bring in retired four-star general right now, former U.S. Army Vice Chief of Staff and Fox News military analyst, General Jack Keane. General, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving, Maria.
And happy Thanksgiving to you. There are reports this morning that General Petraeus wants the Secretary of State job. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that would be an excellent choice. You know, what you get in Dave Petraeus is what I call a warrior scholar. Here's a guy close to the top of his class at West Point. He's got a Ph.D. from Princeton in international relations, a Harvard fellow. He commanded 2 theaters of war, Maria, in Iraq and Afghanistan. No general officer has done that in the 20th century, 21st century, except for one, Douglas MacArthur, who also was a bit of a scholar himself.
Wow.
And as you noted in the intro, he also ran the Central Intelligence Agency, a complicated organization to be sure, and people of high talent there. And in doing all of those jobs I just described, he has been with heads of state, foreign ministers, defense ministers in many countries around the world. So he's not only traveled a lot, but he's dealt with the principal leaders in the world. I think he's got a pretty good grasp on what's happening out there.
I'm sure. But what role is better, though, General? I mean, there is some talk about him being defense secretary and then others about secretary of state. So what do you think his skill set is best positioned for?
Oh, I think hands down Secretary of State, given the scale of his responsibilities and the unique positions that he has. From an experience factor, I don't think that anybody could compare to it. I mean, the president-elect will select who he wants and who he's most comfortable with, and those are also factors that enter any of these decisions, certainly, not just the resume itself.
Right.
So we have to give that latitude, certainly, to the people who are making the selection. But when you're looking at experience here, I think he clearly excels at it.
No, General Petraeus obviously has a phenomenal resume. Let me ask you about Donald Trump talking about his support of waterboarding, General. I mean, after meeting with another possible defense secretary pick, General James Mattis, his views may have changed, apparently. What do you make of these developments?
Well, I think this is a natural course of events that take place, particularly in national security and foreign policy, Maria, where most of candidates who are seeking the office of presidency, with some exception, but most of them really do not have much of a background in it. And as they begin to deal with subject matter experts, people who have spent their entire professional lives devoted to the subject, they become better informed, educated, and their views just start to change because what happened? They got new information that they didn't have. I wasn't at the discussion with Jim Mattis and the president-elect, but I'm convinced Mattis gave him a perspective that he likely had not heard before.
Wow.
New information, therefore impacting what his view is and what his judgment is. It doesn't mean that he's made a decision. I don't think he's done that. He's going to probably get more information than that, but it certainly has opened his mind to a possibility of a change of viewpoint.
Yeah, and that's what this process is about as well, right? Opening your mind, hearing all of this new information from various candidates.
Yeah, and this process, listen, there's a steep education for a president dealing with national security and foreign policy. And as he gets his team around him, he'll be dealing with that every day, certainly as he does with domestic policy. But what's different is the world has a way of coming to the doorstep of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It is unpredictable. It happens to every president. They have a domestic agenda. They're trying to get that accomplished. But the world keeps knocking on that door with challenges and problems.
Yeah. By the way, I like the idea that at least the world is also coming to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in terms of advice. I mean, that's another thing that Donald Trump needs at this point. Let me move on, General, to North Korea. Its leader, Kim Jong-un, sending a 9-page letter directed to President-elect Trump, demanding that hostile nuclear threats stop. General Keane, how should the Trump administration approach North Korea at this point?
Yeah, here's our friend in North Korea. I think what he's trying to do, Maria, is establish his bona fides here with the new president-elect. You know, I suspect strongly one of the things that's happening here, particularly with our adversaries, and they look at this new president that's about to take power, what they see, let's put the campaign aside for a second, what they see, strong leader, decisive, used to making lots of decisions, a man of conviction. That is something, if you're an adversary of the United States and you're morally corrupt and you're a thug, which the Iranians are, which the Russians are, and certainly the North Koreans are, that has some impact on you because you don't know what you're going to be dealing with. In Barack Obama, they've been dealing with what we have come to conclude, and they certainly believe it, is a relatively weak American president on the world scene. I suspect they believe they're going to have a strong American president on the world scene, and that's what this bluster and bombastic nonsense coming out of Kim Jong-un is all about, trying to establish and set the stage for himself a little bit. But everybody's going to see through what his rhetoric. So do we ignore it, General? Is that what you would propose to Trump? No, I don't. You cannot ignore North Korea. He has nuclear weapons. We permitted that to happen during the Clinton administration. It's pretty outrageous, what took place there. But no, you cannot ignore him, and particularly when you're dealing with a closed society like that. But he sends this letter. I mean, what do you do with this letter? Read it, throw it away. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. You ignore the letter. Well, you know who he is. I mean, he's going to get very detailed briefings from the Central Intelligence Agency on the profile of Kim Jong-un and who he is and what he's trying to accomplish. And certainly, I think, largely the world already knows who he is. He's not particularly stable. He's got nuclear weapons. It's somebody we have to be concerned about. We cannot ignore him. But we also got to recognize bluster, bravado, bombastic stuff that comes out of his mouth. Incredible. Incredible to see what's happening right now before Trump takes office, how North Korea and others are positioning. Yeah, well, we're the #1 country in the world. We truly make a difference in the world. We have always helped the world in terms of stability and security, and as a result of that, the world has become more prosperous. So adversaries look to the United States, to be sure, and certainly all of our allies. And there's a huge focus. There is not a social function or a political gathering going on around the world in the last few days where Donald Trump isn't being discussed. Yeah. General, good to see you. Thanks so much. We appreciate your insight, as always. General Jack Keane joining us there. Happy